to the group in the chat box?
Yeah, definitely, Chris. You touched on mentorship, so I'm gonna dive into that one. As you yourself said that that's been really important to you, and uh, what have you done to like access mentorship? Do you is Jesse on your speed dial? How do you manufacture all that within your organization for your own growth?
Um, yeah, no, some of the people that Manny Shellshite, he's an older, like when you talk about an agenda or just, he's the most pure soccer person that I have access to daily. Even now we get on the phone and talk, and he speaks the game from a place of wisdom. And the way I can talk to the players sometimes, to a 20-year-old, and I'm 47. You might be faster than me, but what I have is experience of life and of the game. So then I'm able to pass on certain things based on my experiences. So with Jesse, we'll talk a little bit, but we're bouncing things back and forth. And we go back and we disagree on some things, we'll agree on some things, but it's not, and I look up to Jesse big time. But we also come from the same school. So with Manny, there's a real mentorship that goes with that how to manage certain situations, what he thinks about, different players or different tactics. So Manny is someone that I can rely on there. There's mentors that I don't get to speak to, and even Julian Nagelsmann. I was over at Leipzig. He's the head coach in Leipzig, and it's really interesting because the Red Bull philosophy has always been so much about verticality and playing fast and forward, and when we have the ball, and of course counter-pressing and aggressive defending. But he's brought a twist to it. So to find out the other side of it a little bit, as he comes, he still maintains a lot of the same principles, especially defensively, but his soccer brain's really interesting in how he coaches that team with a little more width and a little more possession based at times. So there's some of that where I have kind of like an inside, we can talk, and some of the assistant coaches that will spend time with me. So, yeah, I mean, Bob Montgomery was my college coach. He was my Long Island Select coach, and Bob Bradley is still a mentor of mine. But again, it's a lot of the things that I face along the way that I'll run into some speed blocks, some questions, managing some losses, managing different types of players, managing up. What types of questions and techniques to deal with some of that stuff. But certainly, I don't claim to have all the answers, So yeah, I'm not afraid to reach out to some people who I think do.
Thanks.
Well, you do want to open it up to the chat box, and while you're doing, I want to ask Chris just to expand a little bit on Red Bull Worldwide. You have, I believe it's 5 teams, and is there one of them's in Brazil? I believe you got Leipzig, you got Salzburg, New York. Where's the 5th one?
It's Leipzig, Salzburg in Austria, New York, and Bragantino in Brazil. That's it.
So is there that common philosophy through all 4 teams of the high press and the narrow play, and then is it up to you individually as a coach to interpret it and put your own little tweak on it?
Yeah, it's interesting because no one has ever came in and said to Jesse, here's how you must play. They shared the philosophy, and I think Jesse got hired knowing that he bought into that philosophy, and then can you now coach the philosophy? So I think, and then coach it based on the players that you have. I think that, and look, when I got hired, it was the same. But what has happened, I think now, and with Jesse before we got here, was they weren't sharing all the resources, that they didn't see, for whatever reason. Maybe certain people weren't in place yet at the global team, but now there's a lot of sharing of resources. And for us now, imagine us that Jesse is in Salzburg, Our video analyst, Victor Bertini, that was with us, is the video analyst in Salzburg. So if we want a training session, we want some ideas, we want how to, can you send me some of the lead up to the Liverpool Champions League matchup? That's really cool to think how they prepared and this and that. But then the time that I went to, like when I had a chance to go to Europe this off season, I went to Salzburg and Leipzig, but I wanted to go to Leipzig. I want to see some really different things, and I want to get as far outside my comfort level as possible.
So are we counting on you then to learn German? Because we saw the video of Jesse at halftime. I think
Yeah,
and we know,
yeah, I know.
Chris will have a handle on that before long, and he'll be speaking German to everybody.
I haven't spent too much time with the German. I know some of the footballing concepts, but for me, I spend a little time learning Spanish because we have some players that I know some Spanish, but I want to make sure I can connect with these guys, certain guys on our team. But
Perfect.
The playing style is, Gordon, the playing philosophy generally is aligned. And now they've even reached out when we video our training sessions, there's a liaison that visits all the clubs, and he says, "Hey, Chris, I like what you did in that transition exercise. Please make sure you send us that video. We want to share that with the other clubs." So there seems to be a sharing, and there seems to be an aligned philosophy. We all believe in it, that this is the way it should be played, but there's little nuances based on maybe the coach and the players that you have.
That's good.
All right. I've got a half dozen questions in here. I'm going to start, Chris, with your own development as a player. When you reflect back to, ODP, and what were some of the key things for you for your own development as a player? And, what would you have told your younger self as you went through the process?
I would have, in many ways, probably told myself, you're on the right track. Keep being a team guy. Keep giving everything. Like, Chris, you're the hardest working guy, not for a show, but you work hard. Don't let that go. Keep considering people. Be a team guy. I was a guy that I wasn't, whatever the guys were playing in the neighborhood, hockey in the street, you name it. I wasn't this crazy soccer, like I'd play for hours in the backyard with my brothers, but I also dabbled in a lot of things socially. So I'm just trying to create the picture that it was. I wasn't a guy studying the film. There was no soccer on TV to watch, but I'd probably tell myself, no matter what you do, keep doing what you're doing in the backyard with your brother and your dad. Like, just hours and hours and hours and hours. That's something that was, I think, probably the key to my success. Just the amount of time, the amount of free play and social soccer and baseball and basketball, not organized, but just playing. I think it helped my coordination, athleticism. I wasn't the fastest, but I could win the races because I was quick in my brain. So yeah, that's what I tell my younger self. And someone asked me the other day on a Zoom call that I did for ODP in Long Island here, like, what were the most important qualities that you would have taken with you along the way when you were a kid? And I said, for sure, that I was able to read the game well, like, again, that speed of thought concept, which helped me. It just helped me in a game be a step ahead. I was able to focus for longer periods of time than I think everyone around me. I didn't have lapses in concentration. Even when I made it to be a professional, was I the greatest player? I don't know. I was on the national team. I was a good player, but I don't think it was anything spectacular. But I think that my ability to read the situations and almost ESP to know exactly what's going to happen. I can get the second ball. I can scoop up. It was just uncanny, this. And then I think that the competitiveness that I had. I wasn't a big mouth loser, or if we won, I never bragged. But winning really mattered to me. It mattered. I hated to lose. They simply say, did you hate to lose? Did you like to win? I don't really know. All I know is that when that whistle blew, I was ready to play. And I could play. And after 90 minutes, I think I could play another 90. I don't know how I can do it again. Physically and mentally, I can focus. I want it more than you, and I can read the game. So those three things ended up being three things that I think I'll always take with me.
So now that you transition into coaching from playing, and then you to an assistant coach and now a head coach, what are some of the challenges that you've had going along that coaching journey, and to where now you're sitting in the current chair that you have?
I think the challenges are always, I'm coaching at a club that's never won the ultimate prize. In the last 5 years, we've won 2 supporter shields. I took over in the middle of 18 and helped the team win that supporter shield that year. We lost in the conference championship to Atlanta, maybe a game away from hosting the final at Red Bull Arena. So there's a lot of this angst within the club. There's the club, the support, they want to win. And it's hard to let everyone know how much I want to win. And they have no idea. I think you could add up every supporter, and that's where I am. Like there's nothing I wouldn't do for that. That's a challenge when you haven't won. And then, yeah, you in the first year and a half or so, you want to coach a team and you want to put your stamp on it, which means you want to do that with certain players and people around you. And, feeling a little bit at times where you don't have that control is a little bit frustrating. And we have to usually do more with less. That's the reality. We spend the third least amount of money in the league. We have the second youngest team in the league. Yeah, so we're expected to win, which is great because we have won. So it's high demands, and you have to continually keep trying to move this thing forward. So it's never an excuse because I know we can win with what we have. I don't feel like there's a lot of room for error, though. We don't have Carlos Vela, who every time you get past midfield, you're on the edge of your seat. We just don't have that. We have a really young team we say that the philosophy is the playmaker. And we also have good players, don't get me wrong. So, yeah. And the last part, as we all know as coaches, that you genuinely, as much as you feel like you've prepared the team, as much as you think you've turned over every stone, whistle blows. And, oftentimes I say, whoever coaches that team is a terrible coach. I'm talking about myself. That team sucks. That's my effing team. And my coaches start getting frustrated, and I promise you, my heart rate is very low. And I say, guys, it's not their fault. It's our fault. Trust me. We're gonna train because we have missed something if that's what we're seeing right now. So many times I'm harsh to think, I criticize myself because, you think you have it figured out, and then the team shows you where you are.